This etude's tempo is unfortunately dictated by its lack of spots to breathe. I chose to feel the beat in half notes at 80, due to both the natural feel of the melodic line and my ability to make it longer stretches of notes without a breath at this tempo. I found that when I took slower tempos, it became impossible to keep up the perpetual motion of the eighths and fit in breaths. But that's not to say there can't be fine performances of this at slower tempos. Try to take breaths at the ends of every half note you can, on the downbeats they tie into. At this tempo, I had to take a bit of time to breathe in order to have enough air to last as long as I needed to, but every single breath I took was planned. The final stretch, of course, starting from the half note D about 20 measures before the end, is a breathing challenge no matter what tempo you take. This etude isn't just straight eighth notes. There is a staccato on the second note of each slur between two eighth notes. Even though they're only written in the first few bars, it's implied that we should continue that pattern throughout the etude. Remember though, staccato doesn't mean short, it means separated. We still need to hear the staccato notes toned clearly, as it is part of the melody. As you practice, you may hear that the rhythm starts to sound swung. To combat this, play through the first few lines of the etude without any articulation unless you need to breathe. Slur everything. Now, go back and play the same music as written, but accent the first note of each slur and throw away the second note, almost like a mini dynamic taper. Finally, go back and play the music as written, with the same air as the slurred practice method, and a less obvious version of the accented method. The flow should feel natural and never forced, with constant air support continuing the perpetual motion of the eighth notes. This etude changes meters from common time in 4, or 2 in my case, to 5/4 and 3/4. No matter what, the eighth note subdivision should always stay the same. If you're playing with a metronome using accented downbeats, don't worry about the downbeats being off. The phrases always end up equaling out at every single meter change, so you can play through this etude with your metronome as long as you're okay ignoring the accented downbeats in the 5/4 and 3/4 measures. Fun fact! Weissenborn published these etudes around 1887, and Scheherazade came out in 1888. Perhaps Weissenborn and Rimsky-Korsakov were of like minds when they wrote very similar patterns of accented quarters followed by repeated descending eighth notes, like you see in the 3/4 and the Weissenborn etude. This etude can certainly be used as a stepping stone to the ever-popular audition excerpt, the cadenza of the second movement of Scheherazade.